Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel. I am live here from the island of Dominica. I'm so excited to be here, but I've been talking about intermittent fasting. So today's live is actually about intermittent fasting, what it is, how to go about it, some common mistakes that we make, and I'll leave you with some tips for success. So if you are a female in menopause, intermittent fasting is one of those things or one of those tools that will help you to lose belly fat and to lose overall body fat. If you've been struggling with intermittent fasting and you have been unsuccessful, this is the video for you. All right, first things first, go ahead and type in the chat where you're watching from. Also tag your friends to this video because I'm going to bring you lots and lots of information that will help you. All right, what is intermittent fasting? First, it is a pattern of eating. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that you are starving. It's just scheduling your eating pattern. That's all it is. Doesn't tell you what to eat. It just tells you how to eat. It's an eating schedule, so you consume all your calories for the day in a specific eating window. All right. What are the benefits of intermittent fasting? Just in case you're wondering why, there are several benefits. Reduction in body fat, that's one. I used intermittent fasting when I was trying to lose weight. I still use it now to help me. It also helps you with improving your metabolic numbers. So it's going to help you improve your blood sugars, improve your blood cholesterol, decrease your blood pressure, regulate your human growth hormone, which is a hormone. Look at that. It's a big B. It's going to help you regulate your muscle building because it regulates a hormone called human growth hormone. It also helps decrease inflammation, helps improve your memory, brain health, clarity, also helps with your skin tone. Can you tell? And it also helps mostly improve insulin resistance. So why do we even think about intermittent fasting? Generally, as we progress through life, most of us are used to eating or snacking all day long. And what happens when you consume any food, especially if it has sugars, it causes your body to produce a hormone called insulin. Insulin level goes up to break down carbohydrates into glucose, the form of carbohydrates that's usable for your brain, by your brain and by your muscles. Now, what happens with time? As time goes along, most of us, our insulin production has been too frequent or too high because we're consuming big amounts of carbohydrates. And so your insulin level stays up, and insulin is a fat storage hormone. So we've heard about insulin resistance. How does that come about? You've produced insulin too often during your lifetime or for years and years that the insulin level is too high. Your body tries to protect you by not responding to your own insulin production. That's when things become a little bit dangerous for yourself. Why? Because insulin is a fat storage hormone, and it also tells your body that there's enough energy here, and so your own fat that you've already accumulated does not break down. So intermittent fasting is such a great tool because it puts you in a period of not eating. And during that time, your body says, hello, there's no incoming energy at this time. And so it is borrowing energy from stored places. That's why intermittent fasting is such a great tool if you're suffering from insulin resistance, if you have metabolic diseases like diabetes type 2, or if you have PCOS. Intermittent fasting is such a great tool. Now, before you start intermittent fasting, I need you to speak to your primary care provider to find out if it is safe for you. What I'm giving here is just really general information. But before you jump in and start, I want you to check with your doctor and ask them, is this safe for me? That's the very first thing that you need to do. All right. What are the methods of intermittent fasting? I'm going to give you 7 methods that I know about. The very first one, fasting for 12 hours and eating in a 12-hour window. Some people laugh and say, wow, that's just nothing. Yes, it is, because most of us are used to eating all day long. And by the way, studies have shown that the energy that you consume in foods, now they stay in your body for up to 12 hours. So if you fast for 12 hours, that's valid. It's very good for beginners like me. When you're just starting off and want to ease into intermittent fasting, yes, you can fast for 12 hours. So that's the first one. The second one is fasting for 14 hours and eating in a 10-hour window. Third one, which is the most popular, is fasting for 16 hours and eating in an 8-hour window. The next one is a 5-2 method. So that's the one where you eat regular foods for 5 days and you strictly reduce your caloric intake to about 500 to 600 calories for 2 days. That's the 5-2 method. The next one is the 20 and 4. So you're fasting for 20 hours and you're eating in a 4-hour window. Next one is alternate day fasting. So on alternate days, you're only consuming 500 calories, and on the other alternate days, you're consuming your daily caloric requirement. All right, the very last one is the weekly fast, where you consume no food for 24 hours, and then for 24 hours, and you do that 1 to 2 days per week. There are some longer fasts. The longest fast I've ever done was 72 hours, 3 days not eating but consuming lots of water, black coffee, and unsweetened tea. That one, that's so long, 3 days. You definitely want to check with your medical provider to make sure it's safe for you, and you really don't want to do that for more than once or twice a year. All right, so what do we consume when we are fasting? Water, of course, lots of water. Black coffee, nothing added to it, no sweeteners, no creamer, and unsweetened tea. That's it. Now, some people can make the argument that things like lemon, or things like maybe MCT oil, or things like heavy cream, because it doesn't have any carbohydrate, may not change your blood sugar. But the only way that you will know is if you're actually checking your blood sugars while you're consuming those things during intermittent fasting. Is quite cumbersome. But anyway, you have to pick what works for you. Generally, you only consume water, black coffee, and unsweetened tea. So let's go ahead and talk about people who should not attempt intermittent fasting at all. You should not. If you have major medical conditions, diabetes type 1, you're using an insulin pump, you should not intermittent fast, because your pump is going. The blood sugar can drop too low. It is dangerous. Number 2, if you are pregnant or if you are breastfeeding, do not do intermittent fasting. It may not be safe for you and for babies, especially because they need the energy that you're consuming, ma'am. So don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Third one, if you're prone to eating disorders, let's say you've been anorexic or bulimic or some other disorders like that, please don't intermittent fast, because you can just, especially if you've recovered, you just don't want to relapse again. So intermittent excuse me, is not for those of us who have had eating disorders. Very, very important. Anyway, don't forget to tag your friends. Don't forget to tell me where you're watching for. And this video is going to be is being recorded. I will put it up on my YouTube channel and on my podcast. All right. So how do we start intermittent fasting? In case you're wondering, how do I go about it? Very important to be practical about everything. Number 1, pick your plan. Number 1, pick your plan. Which one do you want to do? What works in your schedule? How does it fit into your schedule? For me personally, okay, I like some of my fasting time to happen while I'm asleep. Because I don't want to be awake all the time that I'm fasting. It just seems like it's going to be too hard. So I pick maybe 12 hours fasting or 14 hours fasting. And during part of that time is when I'm actually sleeping. So think about your plan for you. What works for you? Don't go and do what works for your friend or what works for another person, because what is it that works for you? And if you're just beginning, there's nothing wrong with easing into it slowly and starting off with a 12-hour fast. Maybe part of those hours will be while you're sleeping. So number 1 is pick your fasting plan. Number 2, determine your caloric requirement for that day before you start fasting. So generally, if you want to lose weight, here's a trick. If you want to lose weight, go to a BMI chart and look at your ideal body weight there. Take that weight in pounds and multiply by 12. That gives you a ballpark about how many calories you need to consume per day. During your eating window, that's how many calories you want to consume. Don't be like me. We'll talk about mistakes that happen. When I started intermittent fasting about 9 or 10 years ago, I didn't know what was what. I was waiting for the time to be over for my fasting, and I was ready to go to the fast food place and get food to eat because I just thought all I had to do was fast. That's not true. You need to stay on your healthy nutrition plan. You also need to consume your correct daily caloric requirement during your eating window. So pick a plan, think about your caloric goal, also think about your protein goal. Listen, if you're trying to lose weight, it's so important. I'm on vacation, but I'm taking no chances. I want to go home and then realize I've gained 10 pounds in the vacation. No. During my vacation, I'm still prioritizing my protein. I know my protein requirement, so I do my best to consume proteins while I'm on vacation. When I go home, it's going to be, of course, more structured. So your protein requirement should be consumed during your eating window. Next thing, what works, what helps when you're trying to lose weight is preparation. Continue your meal prep. Prep everything. I prep breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything. All your meals should be prepped. So when you come out of fasting, you're going to be ready to eat. And you need to have your food right there to eat when it's time to eat. You just don't come out of fasting and start thinking, what should I eat? What should I eat? You should need to be prepared. So that's a very practical thing to do, is to prep your meals still. All right. The very next thing is to be specific. So when you've not eaten for several hours, your bowel is ultra sensitive and ready to absorb nutrition. Clean out that diet. Don't eat junk. Don't eat a bunch of processed foods. That's just going to cause more damage, cause you to gain weight. Belly fat still be here, not going anywhere. So make sure you're eating unprocessed foods. Weigh or measure your food so you know how much. If you're not weighing, you can't keep up with it. Don't know how much you're eating. Weigh the food, especially if you're just starting off. It's so important to know how much you're eating. Weigh it. And then lastly, track it. If you're like me, I can't remember exactly how much or what I ate 2 days ago. So I have to write it down now, okay? I write it down and put it in my app. Sometimes, I'm just so old school. It's just easier for me to write it, put it in my phone notes, write it on a piece of paper. But tracking is important. All right, so that's how you go about intermittent fasting in a nutshell. If you have questions, come back to the recording of this video. Type your questions in there. I'll bring you some answers in case you had any questions. So let's look at some mistakes that we may make. And listen, the reason why I'm here trying to share all that I've done in the past to lose the weight. I used to be over 300 pounds, and that was in about 2005. And I have done everything. So many mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made happened while I was trying to intermittent fast. So if you've tried intermittent fast and you felt you couldn't make it past day 1, or if you've been successful at it, but you've tried it again, you're trying it again now and you're not really seeing the results, or if you think you're doing everything that you can and it's not working, I want you to listen to some of these mistakes that I've made, and they may help you, and they may help you fix your intermittent fasting problems. All right. Number 1 mistake is to jumping into it too fast. You're thinking, well, I should be fasting for 20 hours because I want to lose the most amount of weight. No. Everything that you do for weight loss, you really need to start slow. You also really need to do what you can continue long term, because weight loss has to become your lifestyle now. The things that you're doing, they need to be sustainable long term. So don't jump into intermittent fasting too hardcore. Start slow. Start with 12 hours. Fast for 12 hours. Continue that for a week. Let your body settle. See how it works. And then maybe you can progress to 13 hours. There's nothing wrong with 13 hours. And after that, progress to fasting for 14 hours. Go slow. Don't start too fast because it's too hard. It could be difficult, too strict, and then you give up before you even start to see the results. Pick that plan that works for your schedule. I'm telling you, also build your sleeping time during your fasting period. Is going to help. The number 2 mistake that you make, and that was me way back then, I did not plan my nutrition. I just fasted and I just felt fasting did it. And then I just came up out of fasting. I didn't even have any plan for what I'm going to eat. Pick a plan. I know some of you do keto, some of you are vegetarians, some of you are vegans. I mean, it's fine. Whatever you choose to eat is fine. But have a plan for what you're going to eat. That is so important because intermittent fasting doesn't tell you what to eat, okay? It's just a schedule that actually simplifies your eating, but it's just a schedule. You want to plan your eating. But also, my friends in menopause, I'm almost 56 now, so I know this belly is very unforgiving. You just eat a little something, and first thing you know, your belly is sitting out here all day long and not going anywhere. Belly fat is a real problem. Remove those processed foods, especially when you're doing intermittent fasting, because like I said, when you fast, when you come to your eating window, your body is ultra sensitive and it wants to absorb everything. Last thing you need is eating food that's coming from a box, that's processed, that has too many things added to it, too many preservatives. That's so damaging. So don't do that. Eat fast, eat healthy foods, and eat the foods that are in your meal plan. All right. Intermittent fasting mistake number 3 is eating too many carbs when you come out of your fasting. Girl, don't do it. Don't do it. When you come out of fasting, if you're like me, my belly was ultra sensitive. So last thing you need is to sit down and eat a sandwich. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sandwich, but it may be just too many carbs. Your body's just going to suck that up and just keep it. And it's going to say, you're not going to eat next time, right? So it's going to hold onto that. Proteins are a good way to go. Eat you some egg whites. It's something that's, for me personally, 2 things that I consumed when I came out of intermittent fasting that really helped my belly to not act up too much. Number 1 was bone broth. I drank that bone broth, 8 ounces of it, got some protein in there, really mild on the stomach. The next thing was Greek yogurt that also helped me to just really break my fast in a gentle way. And then after about an hour or so, I could eat my meal. But don't go and consume too many carbs when you come out of fasting. Yeah, it's going to backfire. It's going to sit in your belly. Belly fat is going to be here talking to you. We don't like that. I don't want it to be here. Right now, intermittent fasting number 4 mistake is forgetting to exercise. Girl, continue all the things that you've been doing. Intermittent fasting is just an eating schedule. We know that the healthy lifestyle involves eating right, doing some workouts, sleeping well, drinking lots and lots of water, reducing your stress, all the things. You still need to continue all the things while you're fasting. Remember, fasting is just an eating schedule. That's all it is. So don't forget your other healthy lifestyle things. Those are still important. All right. Intermittent fasting mistake number 5, and this one caught me big time. When you start fasting, I'm going to tell you how it goes. In the beginning, it is hard, it is hard, it is hard, it is hard. I'm telling you, you're hungry, you're hungry. You're thinking, wow, it's been 2 hours, I'm fasting, 3 hours, I'm fasting. I need to eat. You're hungry. But that hard part really, after 2-3 days, it goes away. And sometimes you get to a point where you're not hungry at all. You're thinking, wow, this is great. My hunger is gone. Well, now, is this really great? Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it could be because you're consuming too few calories for too long. That's not good. That's not good. You still remember how you calculated how many calories you should be consuming? Please, if you're just not hungry or, what's this? Another bee. The bee is here. I'm sorry, excuse me. Another thing that may happen is you just don't get hungry after you've done intermittent fasting for several weeks, and first thing you know, you're consuming just 500 calories, 600 calories a day, every day for days and days and days. This is why I want you to please track it. If you notice that you're not consuming enough calories for too many days, that may become dangerous. You can even become malnourished. You can even damage your metabolism. What I want you to do is open up your eating window and say, hey, listen, I've been fasting for 16 hours, fasting for 20 hours, and now I'm not hungry, I'm not eating enough, my weight is going nowhere. I want you to cut back, be gentle on yourself, cut back, come back down, and open up that eating window and tell yourself, well, I'm going to start eating now in an 8-hour window so you can consume more. I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than starving yourself. It's going to damage your body, it's going to damage your skin, you're going to lackluster, you're going to be malnourished. Don't do that. So that's another big mistake. Not eating enough is a big mistake. All right. Also, not drinking enough water. Remember, during intermittent fasting, we need to be drinking enough water. And for women, that number, if you don't have any medical conditions that require you to restrict your water intake, that's why I say talk to your doctor first, so they approve that you can fast and you can drink all this water. But for women, really, it's about 2.7 liters of water per day. For men, it's about 3.7 liters of water per day. If you can drink more, that's fine. So very, very important for you to drink enough water. How do I know that I'm hydrated enough? This may be too much information for you, but yes, look at your urine. You need to look at it. If it is light colored, it's good. If it is dark as an orange, dark colored, you know you're not hydrated enough. We'll talk about some symptoms next during intermittent fasting. But look at your urine. Each time you go to the bathroom, it needs to be light, nice and light, so you're well hydrated. All right. Last mistake that we make during intermittent fasting is we say, I'm going to eat a little something. I mean, it may not matter. Listen, you broke your fast. You're no longer fasting. If you went ahead and had, I don't know, one grape, one cracker, hey, just decide, are you fasting or are you not fasting? If you're fasting and it's your fasting window, you will break your fast when you eat anything, even if it is small, even if it's just a tiny little bite of crackers. Don't do it, because now you broke your fast. And nothing wrong with it. Just go ahead and fast next day. It's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Let's say you got too hungry and you wanted to eat something. You just wanted. I don't like for you to fight with yourself too much, because it makes the journey not sustainable long term. So just go ahead and eat and tell yourself, I'm not fasting today, I'm going to fast the next day. All right, the one last mistake I'm going to share with you is thinking, once I'm intermittent fasting, I need to fast every single day forever, ever. No, don't do that. Sometimes it's just not sustainable. Sometimes we need a short break to come out of it. What I actually do in real life, when I choose to do intermittent fasting, I tell myself, it's just so much easier, it seems, for me to fast from Monday to Friday. During the weekend, everything is up and everywhere. I'm running around, so I just can't seem to get myself together to fast on Saturday and Sunday. So it's okay. You can fast from Monday through Friday. Take a couple of days off from fasting. You will still be eating your healthy meals and in your caloric requirement when you are not fasting. I just find that it's better for me to fast in consecutive days and then take a couple of days off and then come back to fasting. It makes it more sustainable for me. There was a time that I did intermittent fasting for months, like a couple of months, and yeah, it was hard. But then I couldn't go back to fasting for just a whole 30 days. I just seemed like it's easier for me to fast from Monday to Friday. But you do you. Pick what works for you. But I tell you, don't fight with yourself too much, because it's not sustainable long term. So what are some tips for success during intermittent fasting? Number one, remember we talked about refined or processed foods, refined sugars, things in sodas. Keep them away when you're intermittent fasting. Don't come out of fasting and just drink your Diet Coke. Try not to do that. I know it's diet, but just try not to do that during your fasting window. Tell yourself, try not to do that on the days that you're fasting. Tell yourself you're going to take a couple of days off, and during those times, you can drink your Diet Coke. Yes, I said you can drink your Diet Coke, okay? Just because we're on a healthy lifestyle, there's going to be nothing that's totally banished. The processed foods, though, don't do those while you're fasting. Those are tips for success. All right, another tip for success is for you to learn. During that period, learn how your body responds. I know how my body responds to certain foods, so I keep them away when I'm intermittent fasting. I certainly do not come out of fasting and eat certain things. It just doesn't work for me, for my belly. My belly is ultra sensitive during that time. So that's another tip. Another tip, especially for those of you who refuse to weigh your food, which is the best thing that you should do, so you learn exactly what the portion size is. But however, if you refuse to weigh your food, hey, listen, you do you. But one thing that I encourage you to do is to eat from a smaller plate, like from a salad plate, not a big plate, because our brains want to see that full plate. And so if you feel a smaller plate, automatically you're eating a reduced amount of food. Portion control is key, and if you don't want to weigh your food, eat from a smaller plate, okay? Reduce those portion sizes anyway. All right, another thing during intermittent fasting is to consume lean proteins, lean healthy proteins. They could be things like turkey, chicken, fish, lean meat, whatever you want in lean proteins. Very, very important. Don't forget your dietary fiber. You will notice that when you're doing intermittent fasting, after a while, your belly shrinks. You cannot consume too much food, but don't forget that we need to consume 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, as in vegetables. So still consume your vegetable requirements. So I've talked about lean proteins, and I've talked about veggies also. And when you can, consume your veggies first, and then your proteins, and then your carbohydrates last. What are some symptoms that you may experience during intermittent fasting? Okay, of course, the first one is hunger. It seems like we are just so hungry when we start off, and that's normal. So don't panic. It's going to go away. Drink your water. Ask yourself, sometimes we're just hungry when we are actually a little bit dehydrated. So I want you to go ahead and drink water if you feel hungry. Sometimes that sensation of hunger can go away, but I want you to persist, okay? After that third day, seems like 3 days is the magic day, number of days for most of us, and that those big hunger pangs tend to go away. Number 2, you may experience some headaches or dizziness. That one truly is a sign of dehydration. So if you feel like you're having this nagging headache, or you're feeling like dizzy, drink water. Dizziness is a very important sign or symptom. So if you feel dizzy and it doesn't go away, sometimes you may need to actually go ahead and go to the emergency room, because dizziness could be a sign of dehydration. But yes, it also could be a sign of heart disease. It could be a sign of stroke. So don't try to second guess that one too much. This is when you seek medical attention. I say so because my full-time job is actually in the emergency room. I work full-time, and some people come in with a cerebrovascular accident, so that's a stroke, and they're just dizzy from it. So don't count that one away and say, I'm just intermittent fasting, so that's why I'm dizzy. No, get it checked and let a medical professional tell you what your dizziness is from. All right, another symptom that we may have when we are intermittent fasting is we're just irritable. All right, so we're in menopause, we're irritable anyway. Most of us are because of low estrogenic state. And yeah, during intermittent fasting, you may become a little bit more irritable. So yeah, so don't forget to do your stress relieving techniques. Just think about yourself and just calm down. Those symptoms are going to go away. There's so many other symptoms that may happen. Stomach irritation, cramping when you try to eat. That's why I say always just go back when you're fasting. Go back into your eating. Break your fast slowly with something that's mild, that's gentle, if you're somebody who starts to cramp a lot. I've said some people have complained to me that they lose their hair, the hair may get brittle. Sometimes that could be nutritional deficiency also. So I want you to get that one checked. But there's so many signs and symptoms. One of the biggest one that may tell you that you're doing something correctly is you get the chills. Have you ever done intermittent fasting and you feel like you're cold? That tells you you could be in ketosis during that time, especially for those of you who are doing the keto diet. Like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody on what they're eating, but if you're on the keto diet and you may get into ketosis while you're intermittent fasting, then yes, you may feel those chills while you're fasting. Yes, those of us who are not in keto, we may not get that one, but yes, that could be one of the signs and symptoms of intermittent fasting and being in ketosis, especially if you're on the keto diet. All right, I think that's it for me. Please wait for this video to upload to my Instagram page and come back and type your questions. I hope that information helps you, and I hope that you continue to stay on your healthy lifestyle. I do have a 21-day boot camp that restarts every month. The next one starts on February 19th. If you're struggling on what to do to lose the weight, come to boot camp. The link is in my bio, or just type in this chat link and I will send you the link of that boot camp where you can come and meet women who are like-minded, trying to lose the weight in a healthy and sustainable manner. It's just $1 per day, just because I want to help you. And again, wait until the video uploads so I can see your link. Before you put that link, come back and put it again, because I may not see it in this chat. I don't know. It just doesn't show these chats in my saved videos on Instagram. So come back and put that link and I'll send you the link so you can start with me and my women in that private Facebook page, and you can start with us on February the 19th. All right, my friends, thank you. I am going back to enjoying the sun here in the beautiful Dominica. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.